Topping our lineup on this Monday here on The Now, Amazon's getting into another part of our lives. This time it's real estate, what you need to consider before getting involved in the home buying and selling process. Now, this isn't your typical happy hour we're going to tell you about because it could give shelter dogs across the country a second shot. Plus, there's more generic brands in stores these days, which may sound great for us, but let's face it, generic isn't always the way to go. A money-savvy family has advice about what you need to consider before you buy all store brands.
Thank you, Chris. This is The Now Indy on RTV6. I'm Amanda Starantino. Alleged drug kingpin Richard Grundy is back in federal court just 3 weeks after his first trial on drug trafficking charges ended in a mistrial in Indianapolis. This time, the trial has been moved nearly 180 miles to a federal courtroom in Evansville. A court spokesperson says jury selection is expected to last 1 or 2 days, and the trial could go into early September. Grundy allegedly headed a drug operation selling cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana, and heroin that was imported from out of state and sold in Indiana. He and more than 20 other people were indicted and arrested in 2017 on federal drug charges. And 4 years ago, Grundy faced multiple charges in another case heard in Marion County Criminal Court. The charges included 4 counts of conspiracy to commit murder. But 9 of those charges were eventually thrown out, and Grundy pled guilty to 1 count of dealing marijuana. For that, he was sentenced to probation. An appreciation pouring in for Dan Coates tonight. Coates is a Hoosier and former senator from Indiana who will resign from his position as U.S. Director of National Intelligence next month. He currently oversees all 16 intelligence agencies and oversees the National Intelligence Program in the United States. Coates has been in the role since 2017. With the news of his resignation, many members of the Indiana delegation tweeted their thanks and well wishes to Coates. Senator Todd Young, who was elected to Coates' former seat, said, quote, Dan Coates has made Indiana proud. To read what every Hoosier lawmaker has said about Coates and his service to the country, click on this story on the RTV6 app. Kevin, a few raindrops out there.
Few raindrops. So over the last week, your rain gauge has really been filled with dust. That's about it. That all changed a couple hours ago. That's the view looking north from downtown Indy. We had the strongest storms roll through around 4 o'clock. You can see the line now off to the east. Let's go check that out. Western Indiana, a break. We'll see additional redevelopment. I just don't think it'll be as widespread as what we've had. The cold front sits back in Illinois. That will be the spark for additional showers and thunderstorms. This is a pretty solid line of rain, some of it heavy and some of the winds strong, 40 miles per hour from Marion to Hartford City over toward Winchester and Portland. This is rushing to the north and east at about 40 miles per hour. Other heavy rain between Greensburg and Rushville. That'll move toward Connorsville and Richmond. We're locked in the low 70s, but I do think we'll continue to see this climb a few degrees between now and sunset. Temperature 74 at 7 o'clock with additional isolated thunderstorms. That's possible through 11. We'll talk about the changes that arrive for tomorrow coming up.
Let's start the Now news feed. Some new privacy rules are in place for Facebook in Europe. The EU's top court says companies that embed Facebook's like button on their page can't just freely pass information from a plug into the social network. The court says that they must ask for user permission first. The number of measles cases continues to rise. It's now at more than 1,160, 16 more than last week. Cases showing up in 30 states. Former baseball star David Ortiz is home from the hospital. His first Instagram post today was a steak, saying that he's celebrating with his family, and he says it's priceless. Remember, he was in the hospital since he got shot in the Dominican Republic last month. Victims of the September 11th attacks will continue to get support. Today, the president signing a bill making sure the Victim Compensation Fund never runs out of money. Dozens of September 11th first responders were there for the bill signing today. The Victims Fund had been running out of money pretty quickly. Administrators were forced to cut benefit payments by up to 70%. Student debt sets you back way more than just with money. More than 3/4 of recent graduates told refinance company Student Loan Hero that their education debt limits their life choices. It prevents them from saving for retirement, moving, going after the job that they really want, even dating. About half wish that they had borrowed less. Well, the new school year is right around the corner, and that can be really stressful for some families. Almost half of parents say that they feel pressured to overspend on school supplies. You think of clothes, shoes, maybe a new laptop. The findings come from Bankrate, who says the stress, it is just as much as holiday shopping. Now, the good news here is the majority are not willing to go into debt for school items. Experts say you want to make sure that you budget, even bring only cash to the store.
and maybe look at some cheaper ways to acquire these items. There are a lot of resale sites, things like Poshmark and eBay and even Craigslist, things like that. You might be able to get things gently used at a huge discount.
Ted Rossman says Bankrate says it might be smart to hold off on buying some items, especially if you have a more expensive item on the list, like for, say, a college student. Instead, spread that shopping out over a few months and be sure to take advantage of any sales tax holidays you may see. All right, let's get back to our lineup here. And Amazon is getting ready to get into another part of our lives. It's now helping people connect with real estate agents. So ahead, we're going to show you how this works and what you need to consider with the other companies getting involved in the home buying and selling process.
888-930-CHAMPION today.
Welcome back. A potentially life-changing sum of money is waiting for at least 2 people here in Indiana, but they have to hurry if they want to cash in on their big winnings. The Hoosier Lottery says 2 $50,000 Powerball tickets are set to expire in the first week or so of August. They were both purchased in February of this year. One ticket was sold in northern Indiana in LaPorte, and it expires on August 1st. But someone bought the other ticket right here in Indianapolis on February 9th at the Pike Food Center on Pendleton Pike. It expires on August 8th at 5 p.m. The winning numbers 1, 2, 3, 7, and 39. The Powerball number is 25. The $50,000 prize goes to those who match 4 of the 5 numbers along with the Powerball number. If you have the winning ticket, contact Hoosier Lottery customer service at 1-800-955-6886 for claim instructions.
Buying and selling a home has become more convenient. Amazon's the latest to take this home sale process online. Now, people aren't directly buying homes through Amazon. The site's helping people get connected with real estate agents in their area with a service that's called Turnkey. Now, so far, take a look at the cities where buyers can find an agent online. Some pretty decently sized metropolitan areas, places like Phoenix, Denver, and Tampa. Now, buyers will be able to pick from homes sold by Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, a few other big names. Now, if you're wondering, what does Amazon really get out of this? Well, it's including Amazon devices inside those new homes. Other companies are also using internet services to help with the home buying process. It's not just Amazon. Zillow now has what's called Zillow Offers to help homeowners start the selling process online. That's technically without the need of a middle person. Sellers only need to answer questions about the home and post the photos. Zillow will calculate just how much it's worth, and it'll also send you an offer regardless of whether someone's trying to buy it. Now, right now, Zillow Offers isn't available in all areas, but you can still claim your home on the site and tell them you're interested in selling through them. Now, you can get a better idea at this point about how robocalls and which ones are getting reported. Now, you can avoid falling for scammers with this. The FTC launching a website today that has that information. This is ftc.gov/explore data. Lets you see the robocall topics being reported in your area specifically and just how your area ranks for robocalls compared to other parts of the country. All right, let's get back to our lineup here. And shelter dogs across the country could get a second shot thanks to a unique happy hour parent.
You just sort of see the tension just dissipate. And the next thing you know, at great happy hours when they suddenly end up taking a long, long nap.
Now, napping at happy hour may sound strange, but coming up here in the Now, we're going to show you a program that is helping these dogs get adopted.
Dealer stock. Come in for great deals now.
All right, so Google's really powerful. It knows a lot. We know this, but when it comes to mapping out detours, you want to be careful, and some Colorado drivers learned that the hard way when mudslides took down part of a major highway. One driver said that they used Google Maps to try and find another route, but it just sent them down a washed-out road.
My truck was sitting about like this, and every time I tried to get back up on the road, my truck slid further down the mountain. I was scared that it was going to roll down the mountain. I was going to get crumpled into it and trapped in my vehicle. And I was nowhere near cell phone service.
Now, another driver came along and picked him up, and he says when he went back the next day to get his SUV, others were stuck there as well, so he wasn't the only one having that issue. At least half of people in the U.S. think that driver's ed classes are outdated. This is according to a new study from Volvo and the Harris Poll. At the same time, instructors don't necessarily agree with that. They say distractions are actually what they're focusing the most on in class.
Distractions for driving, is really a major problem in that kids, even when they leave school, they're all on the phones, coming out of school, texting each other.
Now, some communities already offer free driver's ed classes for students over the summer. America's favorite pastime is a home run for one small city. Kai Beach introduces us to the baseball team that holds the record for most consecutive sellouts by any sports team.
Thank you. Enjoy the game.
Sometimes sports
Enjoy the game. Have fun.
can change a community. And in Dayton, Ohio,
Here's your cold beer here.
a single-A minor league baseball team is having a major impact.
My kids all get decked out in their Dragons gear, and they have their baseball gloves and their baseball bats.
The Dayton Dragons hold the record for the most consecutive sellouts by a professional sports team.
They played like a 3 o'clock game that day.
Any professional sports team, NBA, MLB, even the NFL, breaking the previous record of 815 consecutive sellout games formerly held by the Portland Trail Blazers of the NBA.
650.
The Dragons came to Dayton 20 seasons ago.
Run, run, run.
And superfan Michael Belcher
Thanks.
has been at almost every home game since day one.
Which was April 27th, 2000 is when we had our opening day.
This is the 1,366 consecutive sellout game for the Dragons.
This is my vacation, for lack of a better term. So I come down here and watch the boys play.
And the boys in green appreciate all the support.
Everyone talks about how it's the closest thing to playing in the big leagues before you get to the big leagues.
Dayton Dragons catcher Jay Schuyler says this passionate fan base in the crowd affects the team's play on the field.
In big situations, you know, it always seems that the pitcher can get an extra mile an hour or two, or you can run a little faster down the line.
Take a look down the line, over the right field wall, and you'll see the Dragons provide much more than entertainment. They're creating economic development.
Yeah, we had a study done. We've had about a $27 million annual impact on the city of Dayton.
Dragons executive VP Eric Deutsch says the team's success came as somewhat of a surprise that brings in 500,000 people to downtown Dayton every single season.
They come back every year. Season ticket holders renew, sponsors. It's just been this crazy thing that no one could have dreamed of, and we're just happy to keep on keeping on with the numbers.
And keeping up with this team as it continues to transcend sports and impacts the city and its culture. I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Thanks, Chris. Today, a local company built more than 2,000 kits to help care for the people who have to take care of loved ones fighting cancer. Employees of Henry Schein Incorporated put together 2,500 caregiver kits at its Midwest Distribution Center in Indianapolis. Henry Schein Incorporated is the distributor of medical and dental supplies. The company will deliver those kits to the loved ones of people living in American Cancer Society Hope Lodge facilities across the United States, including here in Indianapolis. Everyday items that many of us take for granted are very important for people spending so much time taking care of someone in the hospital.
Toiletry items, toothpaste, toothbrushes, mouthwash, shampoo. They seem like little things, but when you're staying in a hospital for 20, 22 hours a day, those little things come in handy.
Well, Henry Schein Incorporated is building 2,500 caregiver kits here in Indy. Across the nation, the company hopes to put together 10,000 kits.
Well, the bricks of Monument Circle were cleaned off. Good, quick quarter-inch of rain. In some cases, maybe almost half an inch of rain rolled through central Indiana. All of that off to the east right now. Rest of central Indiana with some sunshine starting to break through. We've got a quiet week ahead after these early evening thunderstorms. Certainly comfortable temperatures until we get to next weekend. We're divided, the state. Western half of the state, not much in the way of rain. There's some. We'll go find that for you. But the persistent, heavier, more widespread rain right now rolled through Muncie. It's between Winchester and Portland. May still have some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. That is followed by just some general lighter rain to the south and east. The showers and thunderstorms near Rushville, Greensburg will move toward Connorsville and Richmond. This is why we're not done. Some additional development ahead of a cold front until the sun goes down, kind of zaps the atmosphere of energy. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm development, I think, out ahead of a cold front. Temperatures take a hit when you get the rain. We went from about 84 to 71 in Indy. Kokomo at 72. Bloomington also in the lower 70s. 7 o'clock this evening. This may be overplaying it a bit, but it does show the additional development that I've been hinting at. Then by the time we get to 9 to 11, we'll start to tone things back down and dry out. Tomorrow, temperatures, they'll be in the 70s. through late morning, peak at about 83 with a mixture of clouds and sunshine, 77 tomorrow evening. There are other high temperatures. This is with less humidity than today. Won't be as windy, and the wind direction will change. It will be out of the northwest tomorrow at about 10 miles per hour. And as we look middle of the week, Wednesday, probably the most comfortable day. Lots of sunshine. Temperature 75 at noon. Our optimistic afternoon high temperature with all that sun, just 81.
Lawsuits against drug makers related to the opioid crisis will play out in court in a few months. States are trying to figure out what to do with any potential settlement money they could get from them. Now, they want to make it available to drug-related issues like addiction treatment. Now, in other national lawsuits, say like big tobacco, part of the money went into general accounts, and in some cases, only a portion was spent on anti-smoking efforts. Now, those bringing these opioid lawsuits, they don't want to see the same thing happen again. Let's turn to the Now News feed. Some concerns about toxic chemicals released from Notre Dame during the fire. A French activist group filed a lawsuit today over concerns about lead released during the fire. Hundreds of tons of lead melted in the flames. The group says Paris leaders should have put protective measures in place immediately. Well, this video here, this could have been really bad. Look at this. This is out of Alaska. An Anchorage officer slamming on the brakes for a moose and calf crossing the highway. He was able to stop in the nick of time, so everybody's okay. Well, it might be hard to believe that someone thought that this would be okay. TSA spokesperson tweeting this picture, you are looking at a missile launcher that TSA officers found in a checked bag at BWI Airport in Maryland today. And a man says that he brought it back from Kuwait as a souvenir. They can't bring those to the airport. Well, animal shelters across the country are taking part in a nationwide study giving animal lovers the chance to hang out with a dog. It allows the dogs to have a break from the shelter too. And Corey Rangel showing us how this program works.
I'm doing a happy hour.
Okay. Moira Hopkins loves a good happy hour.
Hey guys, you get to do happy hour.
But instead of getting a drink, Moira is picking up a dog at a DC animal shelter.
You're going with me.
The dog, named Jackie, is part of the Humane Rescue Alliance's Happy Hour program. It allows volunteers to take dogs out of the shelter and hang out with them for a few hours to let the dogs escape from the stress of that environment.
You just sort of see the tension just dissipate. And the next thing you know, I mean, at great happy hours when they suddenly end up taking a long, long nap because they don't get good sleep in the shelter because it's noisy and, you know, chaotic. Oh, good girl.
The program is part of a national study by Arizona State University to examine how getting out of a shelter, even for just a few hours, can have an impact on dogs. Workers at the Humane Rescue Alliance say they've seen how a short getaway can help lower stress levels and even make dogs more adoptable.
When dogs appear less stressed to potential adopters, it makes adopters want to meet them, right? Because they're calm and they're laying in their den rather than jumping around and barking and acting all stressed out.
You're so cute. And the ultimate goal is for these happy hours to lead to happy outcomes.
It has really, really good outcomes for both the human and for the dog, because the human gets to have the love of a dog and enjoy them, and sometimes maybe even end up adopting them because they fall in love with them on a happy hour.
And that is something we can all toast to.
Good girl.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
Corey, thank you. And finally in our lineup, the number of generic brands at the grocery store is growing, but generic may not always be the way to go. So we're getting some advice from a money-savvy family about what you need to consider before you buy all store brand.